Welcome to Real Success Stories. My name is John Wadsworth, president of Strawn & Company Insurance. I'll be your host as we bring you exciting content featuring exceptional individuals and organizations. Throughout my professional career, I've witnessed many talented people build successful businesses and significantly impact their communities. We will now have the opportunity to bring these stories to you. We have the privilege of speaking with business owners and highly successful individuals who are involved in a wide variety of industries. We will see success defined in many different ways. Our guests will share their stories of how they built their businesses to reveal strategies that you can duplicate in your endeavors. We'll get to experience the human side of success as we identify the challenges and obstacles that entrepreneurs endure. We will see the thin line that separates giving up from true success. Along the way, we'll have the opportunity to speak with nonprofit organizations that are creating opportunities for success in their communities. Another goal of this program is to give these great organizations broader exposure and awareness to help continue their success. As a listener, we hope you feel encouraged to support the organizations that we feature. Through this open and honest forum, we aim to build community and foster success among all who wish to pursue their dreams. You will hear real success stories of people just like you and me. Thanks for listening, and check back regularly for new episodes. Make it a great day. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Real Success Stories. I hope that you're having a great day wherever you may be. My name's John Wadsworth, and I'll be your host for today. Very excited. We've been chatting ahead of the recording here a little bit with our guest. Today, we have with us Mr. Dave Baker, the Home Fix-It Show. Thanks so much for joining us today.
How come I never get to host one of these?
Hey, you let us know when you're ready. It's all yours.
How come I don't get to wear headphones?
I'm the audio engineer today.
How come I don't have a big coolie sit in front of me?
Because Rusty gave you a bottle of water.
Okay, I'm glad to be here, John. What a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So most of our listeners will be familiar with you, certainly have heard your voice. I think most everyone here around Atlanta has. But for those who may not be familiar with you or with the Home Fix-It Show, Dave, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Starting when? I got here like an hour ago. We've been chatting back and forth.
I mean, we could go all the way back to the Pirates and the Yankees in the 1960 World Series.
I was born then. You know what else started on the day I was born?
What's that?
The first episode of the Andy Griffith Show.
No kidding.
Aired the same day I was born.
So
I didn't care for it too much, but the second episode was pretty good.
The second episode was good.
Yeah.
You were prepared at that point.
Yeah, I was ready for it.
What you just did, you just reeled my 14-year-old daughter in to the podcast because she's a huge Andy Griffith fan. She's watched the whole series in order. Oh,
that Barney. That's all I got to say about that. People would know me because I started WSB back in 1987-ish, something like that, when it was AM 750. This is back before it was 95.5 and AM 750. I started back there. I won a contest. I was doing some stand-up in the area. I came out of college in 83, and I kind of tootled around in that, and I got a little NASCAR job that sent me to Conyers, which is where I still live. But I was kind of doing stand-up in the area a little bit. I'm not the funniest guy. I like the Don Rickles style. I like to make fun of people. So it depended on how funny the audience was as to how good I could be. But they had a contest on WSB. Bobby Harper, Kathy Fishman, remember those people back in the mid-'80s? Had a little contest to win a health club membership in Marietta.
Okay.
And I live in Conyers, so I wasn't going. I don't go to Conyers to do healthcare. I don't go to my basement hardly to do healthcare. But the question was, in 15 words or less, describe yourself.
Okay.
The winner gets to go. I got through. There was 4 or 5 of us. When it got to my turn, I just said, if spam were human, it would look like me. And I hung up, and then they called me back. I won. Hey, I won this healthcare membership. And I remember as they were signing off with me on the phone, this was back in 87, I believe, the last thing Bobby Harper said was, hey, call us and tell us how it went. So a week later, I wrote 3 minutes, called back, unsolicited, a week later.
Okay.
Did my 3 minutes, called back again another week later, did my 3 minutes. And when I hung up the phone the third time, it rang right back, and it was WSB calling me, wanting me to come to work for them. So that's how I got in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And WSB has always been good, and they still are, at once you're in the building, doing what they hired you to do. But you can look around there and say, I might want to try and do this, or I might want to try and do that. And I kind of worked my way up to be a board op, the guy pushing all the buttons, the guy who's responsible for everything on the air. You got $1 million talent, you got $12 million worth of commercials, and it comes down to a guy making $7.50 to push the right button at the right time. Okay. So that was me back in the mid 80s.
Well, that's me with my H6 recorder here. And
I wasn't going to say that because
my $1 million talent across the table.
H6. Wow. The H6. I got an H12 at the house, but H6 is nice. It's a nice starter set. So that's how I started. I always remember back when I was a little kid, I had a box full of blocks, wooden blocks. And on the back of that, I drew a bunch of little dials and knobs and buttons because I wanted to work at NASA. I would, the spaceships were going up and I wanted to push buttons. So then I'm like, hey, I like to push buttons. So the radio thing just kind of tied into, I get to push buttons. This is my life's dream that I realized when I was 5. And here I am, 24, and I'm pushing buttons. Woo, it doesn't get any better than this.
Wow. How about, so when you started engaging with WSB, so the contest and then the follow-up calls with the 3 minutes, was your thought at that point at all that they might offer you a position to come on board?
No, not at all. That was the least. And when they called me back, they said, we'd like you to do 3 minutes Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at rotating times, write stuff, and just be funny, be seasonal, be about Conyers. And I spent a lot of time being about Conyers and what a small town Conyers was. And they used to have the Festival of Trees down in Atlanta way back. Well, we had the Festival of Shrubs in Conyers, and we only had 2 stoplights. And, and I, in the middle of my 3 minutes, I said, well, light's red, everybody stop, and just break it. And Conyers was the small town, which it kind of was back in the mid 80s. And that was how I got my material and wrote and did things like that, did parodies, made fun of people, which I really like to make fun of people, which means I like them. So that's why I'm so nice to you, John. I brought a little note card here.
Yeah.
And a pen. I'm going to write down every time you say something interesting.
And it's going to come back to haunt me.
Well, it's blank right now.
No, it came back to haunt
me.
me.
You do your best.
Well, And of course, we had talked about Conyers very briefly, or at least acknowledged Conyers prior to the recording. But thinking about your time frame there, we actually lived in Conyers at that time. So it's the way you describe it, and I was thinking about the drive to Marietta for the health club at that time, and the first thought that went through my head was Conyers to Marietta, even though 35 years ago, the traffic wasn't as bad as it is today. Conyers to Marietta still wasn't good.
No, it was awful. And that's how they referred to me as Dave from Conyers. When I started there, it was Dave from Conyers. And that's because that's when you're on the radio, when you're a caller in, you could be John from McDonough, or you could be Steve from Alpharetta. Well, I was Dave from Conyers every time. Let's go to Dave from Conyers. And so that kind of stuck through the first 10 years or so. I was Dave from Conyers. There was no Dave Baker. I was Dave from Conyers. Then all of a sudden I was Dave Baker. And it was odd. Now only the old people, I remember you're Dave from Conyers, but you got to be, 55 plus to remember that basically, and to actually call me that. But
to call you that. Yeah.
I don't mind it. It's not, it's fine, but you're dating yourself when you call me Dave from Conyers, which is fine.
So you were on the 3 days a week schedule at that point then with on the morning show, is that correct?
On with Bobby and Kathy. This was right now they have Atlanta's Morning News. That's what you know. And Bobby and Kathy were on before that up to the Gulf War. When the first Gulf War started, that's when Atlanta's Morning News started. Okay. And the Kathy Fishman and Bobby Harper show was more of a funny zoo kind of a show, as I guess a radio term for that would be. It was lighthearted. They played a song every now and then. They had contests. They had interviews, and so it was more of a lighthearted show. But I was in the building when the Gulf War started, and that's when, I don't know if people remember, Kathy Henderson used to do the Garden Show before Walter Reeves. Okay. Way back when I started, I was a board op for Kathy Henderson. That was my first big chance to push buttons to get Kathy Henderson in her garden talk early Saturday mornings. So that's what got me over to the production side, we call it, I guess. And that's how you just go from there. I went from there, and I was fairly good, I guess, at pushing buttons. So they expanded my button pushing role to other shows. And when Atlanta's Morning News started, which is the show, that's the show, I was punching buttons the day they started. It was a lot of fun behind the scenes of that show because it was so fast paced and busy, and I'm not a fast paced, busy guy. People ever listen to my show, I'm not the fastest paced, busy guy. I like to keep it kind of light, and sometimes they're like, well, that's why you're here, because we can get bogged down sometimes.
There you go.
I guess.
Yeah. So from being a part of that team for the morning show, how did that transition over to the Home Fix-It show? What was the genesis for the Home Fix-It show? The
morning show, it had me in the building, and I'm in the building with maybe 300 people. We're working at WSB back then. That's not far from what's there now. But the salespeople were starting to really bring in a home services market. Home service advertising on the air really kind of took off in the mid 80s, I guess. And they had a big powwow, and they said, hey, we want to build a show where we can feature our home service people. We can sell it. They can put their ad money in the home service. And back then I was living at a place in Conyers, Fieldstone. And we had just, Fieldstone?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
We were building a new house right at the same time they were talking about that. And I was in a meeting, and they said, we're going to start this home services show. And I said, hey, that's great. I'm building a new house. And they're like, oh, you're building a house. We're going to do this show. Why don't you host the show? And I was like, okay, I'll do that. It's Saturday morning. It actually started on Saturday afternoons, but it's worked its way to Saturday morning. And the thought behind it is you have guests on the show, which I do. I have big companies, and I have big owners and big smart people that know how to do this stuff on the show. I have little people and little companies too, but it gives the audience a chance. It gives John Wadsworth a chance if he wants to build his own house, or if he wants to put in his own water heater. Well, here's a guy who owns a water heating company. He's been a plumber for 40 years. I can call him, ask him for tips, and there I go. Now I know how the pros do it. A lot of times, John Wadsworth can't put in his own water heater.
A lot of times.
That's what I see as a lot of times. That's what I see as my job. I'm like the goalie, okay? I'm here to tell you what to do, what not to do, and who to hire to do it correctly. Because there's a lot of things out there, folks, that you have no business sticking your nose in thinking, well, I can just do this with a screwdriver and a duct tape and I'll be good. No. You have no business touching that. Hire somebody, spend a little money, get it done right, and you'll be much happier.
As I mentioned before we started recording, we intentionally do not go into the insurance weeds on this podcast. However, the entire insurance community just thanked you for your sage advice.
Well, you're welcome.
We have paid those claims, so
I'm sure you have, and I'm sure that's another part of what I feel like my job is telling people what to watch out for. Everybody knows, the roofing gets thrown in the first 5 minutes of what to watch out for in any conversation, because there's so many wildcat and rogue roofers. I call them chucking the truck. They're out there and they just do awful work for you, and you'll never see them again. You'll pay them whatever your insurance company pays you, and you'll never see them again, and your roof will leak within 6 months, and it's just awful. So some of the things you listen to the Home Fix-It show for, and this is why we tell you what not to do, is for down the line. You're way better off spending $5,000 now than having, giving somebody $3,000 and then having it happen again in a year. Now you're out $6,000. Now
Right.
You're way better off taking it, doing it up front the correct way. And that's what I try and steer people towards.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and kind of speaking of that, and we'll mention this again, the website for the show is thehomefixitpage.com.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, if folks go visit the site, there are potential service providers that they can check out through your website, folks that are listed there, whether it's roofing or electrical or plumbing or whatever the case may be.
Don't start because you'll forget somebody. And then you'll get an email on Monday that said, how can you forgot me?
That's why I'm naming trades and not individual companies.
Yeah.
But that is there on that website. So that's another great resource for folks that's available anytime. They don't have to wait for Saturday mornings.
That's right. Another thing that's on the website, if I may plug it, the homefixitpage.com, there's a bunch of blogs on there. I've written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of blogs over all kinds of aspects of your home. And they all kind of tell you what to look out for and do this or don't do this, and what to look out for if you're going to do this. So you can find that all at that website also. And you can listen to old shows there. If you never heard the Home Fix It show, go to the homefixitpage.com, click on the Knowledge Center, listen to the show from, I don't know, they go back 10 years. So listen to the show from August 12th, whatever year, August 12th was a Saturday. And listen to that show. It was a really good show.
There you go. There you go. Well, and so for our listeners, what we'll do, anywhere you find the podcast, as well in anywhere that we advertise the podcast, we will include links to the homefixitpage.com so that you can get right to that and check that stuff out. There are a lot of good resources there on the page.
I feel like I should provide a link to John Wadsworth at johnwadsworth.com.
I haven't made it yet.
I have my standards.
Well, I didn't make the list.
Not yet. There's still time.
So the Home Fix It show went on the air in 1990. Okay. And here we are 32 years later. I'm not sure when the actual 32nd anniversary is. I'm not sure what time of the year y'all started in 1990, but looking at that kind of longevity, particularly on a Saturday morning radio show, that's really amazing. So what do you attribute the longevity to instead of it's time for a format change? It's time for a format change, particularly when folks see what they see with FM radio.
Right. I like to attribute a lot of it to making money. Ad people never throw stuff out that makes money. But housing things happen to everybody at some time and you least expect it. You could wake up in the morning and your microwave could have fallen off the ground and tore up some vinyl on your floor or whatever. You had no idea that was going to happen. Now you need a new floor. You need a new microwave. Where do I start? Mm-hmm. Click. There's the show on the air. I'll call in and say, hey, my microwave fell and ripped the floor. What can I do? It's stuff like that. Rain. I attribute a lot of my show to rain. If you think about it, rain is the root of almost every problem within your house. It gets in your house. Once things get wet, they fall apart. Your basement gets flooded. There's mold. Rain is just hideous for your house, but it's out there and it's been raining. I don't know if you've looked back in your records. It's been raining for well over 32 years.
At least. Yeah. At least. We may have had a dry spell for a little bit before then, but not much. No,
yeah, exactly.
No. So yes,
I attribute a lot of that to that, and just the people that listen, and we have a good time doing the show. Mm-hmm. And I think if you have a good time doing something, people pick up on that and they enjoy hearing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so being in an industry like radio for so many years, what are some of the challenges, whether it's for you as an individual in your career, or, I'm assuming you guys have a pretty, have a team that makes the show happen. What are the challenges y'all faced over the years that you've had to overcome to keep things going?
For my show or for radio?
I don't. Let's both.
Well, let's just stick with my show.
Okay.
I like to have experts. I like experts in their field. I don't want, like I mentioned earlier, I don't want Chuck in the truck to be on the show because I want somebody that's going to tell how to do something right.
Absolutely.
Well, technology has changed. Back in 1990, solar was kind of way out there, just for an example. People had solar power, but it was way out there and they were kind of, hippie guys got solar.
Yeah.
We all know solar's become more of a thing. Well, I've had to find experts, and I go through a bunch of them looking for them for solar. Well, there's other things that have come along other than solar. There's been electronics. There's been, just think of all the things today that weren't there 30, even 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Things changed. The building codes change. Everything changes. And I attribute that, just finding people that can speak to those and be reputable and stand behind what they say. That's probably the biggest challenge of the entire show.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and thinking about that from the standpoint of any, well, it doesn't even have to be a business. Any individual, the effort and the time and the diligence that it takes to research when you need something, whether it's a roof, HVAC, replacing linoleum, whatever, vinyl, whatever the case may be, or an accountant or an insurance agent or on, an attorney. There's a lot of time and effort that gets wrapped up in vetting those people. And so I can only imagine when you're a core piece of your business is vetting those people and you've got to do it over and over again for not only the particular trades and services that have been issues for homeowners for years and years, but also the emerging trade and service needs that are coming out. 20 years ago, you probably weren't concerned about installing charging stations for electric vehicles.
Yeah. They were out there past the solar guys,
Yeah.
It was, you're exactly right.
Dave, turn into an issue that many of our past podcast guests have mentioned, something that in our day-to-day business,
They mention me? They talk about me?
They do constantly.
I like that.
Yes. Sometimes good.
I see people looking in the windows like, is that him? Is that him? Yeah.
We had to shut it down so that we didn't draw a crowd.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
But there's a lot of concern out there from the business owner side, as well as from folks who are just trying to purchase things and find help about the supply chain and labor shortage issues. So I can only imagine that you're hearing it when you're talking to the service providers where you're looking for these experts to deliver information to your listener base. And you're probably hearing it in the form of questions from your callers as well. So just share a little bit about what you're seeing there. If there is a tip that would be good for some homeowners, maybe patience, that may be the only tip.
You got supply chain, and you brought up labor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's start with the labor. Every guest I have on Saturday is hiring. It reverts back, I think. This is kind of a people problem. This is a parenting problem, I think, because parents, through the years, through the 90s and the thousands and the 2010s, have told their kids, you're going to high school, you're going to 4 years of college, and then you're going to get out in the real world and see what you can do. All right? When kids aren't all college material, and that's not a bad thing. That's okay. Parents, it's okay that your kid doesn't go to college. And now there's a big gap, especially in the service industry, of people ages, let's say, 27 to 50. A lot of older guys, they're getting out, they're retiring. Nobody's taking their place. There's nobody in that gap. And there are a ton of places. You can call me any Saturday. You can email me anytime you want. And I will hook you up with a school that will take your kids out of high school. They won't remove them from high school, but when they graduate from high school, they will take them into a class and teach them. They can teach them plumbing. They can teach them heating and air. They can teach them electrical. They can teach them building skills. They will pay them. You won't have to pay for your education. And in 4 years, less sometimes, in like 14 months, you can have a heating and air. You can be a heating and air guy driving around. Now, people are going, that doesn't sound sexy. No, it's not sexy. But you know what? You got no bill and a good heating and air guy, they're making six figures. Easy.
And I don't think people know that. I don't think folks realize that.
And I think kids get pushed into college, and it's a shame that they think that's the way they have to go, and it's not. And it's okay not to go to college. It's okay not to come out in debt.
Mm-hmm.
In 4 years, you go have a beer with your friends, and they're moaning and groaning about they owe $120,000 to college. How much do you owe? I don't know anything. I made $85,000 last year, plus benefits.
Exactly.
And it's like that's what's really hurting right now. I think is that there's just a gap in the labor, and even if you're out there, you can get hired tomorrow. I don't even know what day you're listening to this, but you can get hired tomorrow if you got minimal people skills and you can drive and you can show up to work on time. I'll give you 40 people who will hire you and teach you what you need to know. You also brought up the supply chain. And I think back a couple months ago, half a year ago in the 20s, maybe early 21s. Well, I don't remember when this all started, but the supply chain was a viable thing.
Yeah.
I think it's still a viable thing, but I think it's turning into an excuse now. It's an excuse for people. Well, we can't get that. The supply chain back up. And you go to the next guy. Oh, yeah, we can get those. I think it's turned into kind of a lazy man's. You say my kitchen will be ready in 6 weeks. Well, we got supply chain issues and we're just not going to get to it, and everything's slowed down. But I think it's an excuse a lot of times.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there aren't supply chain issues. Try and get a new refrigerator or a new stove. Appliances are crazy backed up.
Mm-hmm.
But in some instances, and personally, I'm just tired of hearing about it. I'm just tired of people telling people there's a supply chain issue. Tell them up front. Let people know up front. And one other thing, while I'm giving advice to building companies here, if you have somebody that you've already done, you've got a job from them, say they're on your to-do list. We're going to do the Wadsworth House when we get a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those people are already your clients. You need to call and stay in communication with those people.
Yes.
Even though you're not doing work with them right now, they want you to do their work. You have to call them, even if it's weekly. And if you bring one person in and that's all they do is they call people on the list, Mr. Wadsworth, we still know you want this kitchen. We're still looking. It's going to be 8 more weeks. Tell the truth, for crying out loud, first thing. But they are your client or they're your customer already. Your job is to keep them. It's not to ignore them and say, well, we'll call you back when we're unopened. No, call them back. We'll call you back next Monday and give you an update. It doesn't take long. It's easy.
Great point. That is a tremendous point. And I think too, we don't give consumers and our clients enough credit that if you do call them and say, hey, I know we were trying to have this done by this Friday. Some other things have gotten in the way that I apologize. I couldn't control it, but I want to give you an update. We're 60% of the way there. I'm going to get the next 40% for you in the next week or whatever it is. And if for some reason something comes up, I am going to be in touch with you and give you an update. 99% of people are going to be very appreciative of the update.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to be very understanding and accommodating.
Oh, yeah. I said that from day one of the show. You have to communicate with the people that you're dealing with, and you have to tell the truth. When you ask, you said 6 to 8 weeks. We're on week 5. Are you going to be done? Nope. Sorry. Actually, I shouldn't have to ask. You should be telling me. We said 6 to 8 weeks. It's week 5. We're still waiting for a 2x4 to come in, and then we'll let you know when the second it comes in, and we'll be back. It's not we're going to get it in, and then it'll be 6 to 8 weeks from there. No, we'll be back when this happens.
I was going to ask you, particularly from the supply chain side, what impact that would be having or how do-it-yourselfers need to be concerned with that. But it sounds like if it's a job that you can supply yourself from one of the big box stores or your local hardware store, it should be there outside of appliances or I'm assuming anything that's computer chip related.
Yeah. I would imagine too, if I can walk through Lowe's and see a bunch of stuff that I need, there should be no problem with that. And that reminds me of the thing I forgot earlier is people that run repair businesses now are really suffering due to the internet. You get a heat. Okay. Let's say you're enjoying a nice air conditioned summer afternoon and your air conditioner goes out. Okay. It's still blowing air. It's not cool air anymore. It's just blowing air. Okay. Probably a condenser. The heating and air guy comes out, looks around, pokes around, says, does a fix, says this is it. This is your condenser or whatever it was. $600 or whatever the price, $400. But wait, all this time while he's been saying what it is, you're online. You're Googling the condition. Says here this part's only $18. Well, yeah, but I came out and I told you what the part was because I did all the investigative work.
Right.
I'll let you order the part. No, it's only $200 then. But wait, I can put it in. I can't put it in, but wait, I can't put that in. I don't know how. Oh, so now I investigated. I knew it was wrong. Now you want me to put it in. So what are you asking me? Well, it's only $18. You're charging me $40. You get the $40 condenser, call me back. It'll be a service fee this time, service fee next time. But the internet is killing people trying to be professional. It's killing professional people because users are just looking around going, oh, wait, that piece is only $8. You're charging me $50. Oh, wait, I get a spool of wire for $100. You're charging me $700. It's killing people. And that drives me crazy.
Well, and I think there's a good point to be made there, particularly something that we hear. I think most of us, our listeners included, I'm sure you hear this. I know I hear it all the time is shop local, support your local business, support your mom and pop, or your small business owner. Here's the thing. They're not operating nonprofits. and so this comes back to do your research, as far as get some references. Is this a good HVAC contractor? Have they helped someone I know? Is this a good plumber? Do I have a reference for them? And if other people have told you they were fair with us, they did a great job, they stood behind their work, support your local business owner. They may be employing your next door neighbor or, the neighbor around the corner. And if you always take the example you just gave, it's pushing these folks out of business. They can't operate without a profit margin.
That's tough to do. And I'm not against supporting your local business.
Yeah.
My thing is, once you find a good heating and air guy, stick with him. Stick with him.
Find somebody.
If it's a huge company, stick with him. You get to know him. He gets to know you. You feel comfortable with him coming around. If you're a local guy, things change so fast sometimes in the technology that you run into companies that can't keep up. And a lot of times they're smaller companies that can't keep up. And that's a shame.
Okay.
And I feel bad for them. But big companies sometimes can muscle their way around because they've got all the experience. They've got the deepest pockets. They get everything in stock. They get service first. They get their parts first because they're spending a lot of money. And that really hurts the little guy. And I'm not anti-little guy, believe me, because these big guys all started out to be little guys. But I know a few on the south side. I know some heating and air guys down here, and they have dug in a nice niche that people, once you find a guy, stick with them. That's the thing. They're offering 20% off this week. Yeah, but you don't know them. You know this guy, and he may be the same price as he's always been. It may be 20% more, but wouldn't you rather have John come to your house and work on your plumbing? Because you know John.
Yeah.
You don't mind if he's in your house and you're not there, or you don't have to follow him around your house because he's not going to root through your stuff. You stick with the guy or the lady That's my thing, is stick with what you know, stick with who you know, and you're better off that way than dropping and searching. I don't mean to.
No, we're on a parallel path there with where we're going.
Sometimes your neighbor works at one of these big companies.
Yes.
Because the way society is now, people drive 40 miles to go to work. People drive
Conyers to Marietta.
Literally sometimes. And it's important. But a lot of these bigger companies that I talk about, there are several right around my house in Conyers that work for Coolray. I'm not giving the Coolray plug, although I love them. They're the best. 770-471-COOL. But Coolray, part of their deal is you get a truck.
Okay.
So you don't have to go to Canton Highway every day to start. Now you're in the neighborhood. Now there's a Coolray guy in my neighborhood. You know him. He lives right over there. I see his truck every day. He's servicing Conyers for you. And that's, I don't know if that goes against what you're saying, but he's now a local. He still works for the big company, but he's the local guy. He's got the stuff on his truck. He knows what he's doing.
He is. And so probably the better way for me to phrase it is maybe it's the Coolray guy. Maybe it's the local mom and pop, either one. But if you as the homeowner have vetted them first or received a reference from someone, if it's the first time you're engaging with this service provider, you have friends or family who have said, hey, I know this guy, you can trust him. So you have a trusted source. If they then get there and you undermine them by doing the internet search that you described earlier, then you're pushing your trusted provider. Maybe instead of small local provider, you're undermining your trusted provider. And that's probably a better way for me to phrase that, because you're exactly right.
Well, you're not going to find the little local guy if you're internet searching at all, because people pay for their Google ratings. People pay to where they put. That's a whole different aspect than it was in 1990. I think, you pay X amount and we'll guarantee we move you up to the first page. The advertising thing, when you need a heating and air guy, since we're just sticking on heating and air, this could be any company. When you need a heating and air guy and you type in heating and air, McDonough, and a name pops up. Oh, this is what you want. I recognize that name. I'm calling them. The second thing you would want, the first thing you'd want is, okay, I'll automatically call this guy.
Okay.
The second thing is, I recognize that name. They talk about him all the time. I'm going to use him. The third thing is going to be, I don't really know any of these people. I'm going to check them out. I'll click through, but they're on the top third of the page. It's like being above the fold in the newspaper back when we had newspapers. But that's all bought. That's all those Google ratings are bought with the order they fall in on the screen. That's all bought. So company X could look like they're the best company ever, but they stink. I know a lot of companies out there that stink. I'm not going to say who they are right now, except for no.
Yeah.
But you got to realize where people are how people are getting listed, and it's the guy with the deepest pockets is up there first.
That comes back to, if you're looking for a service provider, if you don't have an existing relationship, how do you find that new relationship? And it's reaching out to someone and getting a reference. You
got to get reference. That's the end result. If you don't do a reference and something goes wrong, that's on you. That's it's the company's fault for not doing it right. If that's what the end result was, the company didn't do it right. But I always consider that's half on you. And if you're a business owner, it's everybody throws up a lob pitch that gets hit out of the park every now and then. Everybody in the world does that every now and then. And it's how you respond to the home run you just gave up. That's going to keep you as their service provider. You put in a bad heating and air system and it goes bust, and they're complaining. You go out, you fix it, you take the extra check, you take it out, you put a new one in, no charge. Now you got what you want, and it's working. Now they're loving you, and they're loving you. You can't get advertising like somebody who you've messed up on and then redid their whatever they wanted,
made it right.
And now they're so happy. It's unbelievable. And you wouldn't think, once you mess up, you're done. But no, it's.
Well, and I think that's a good point too for the business owner, the service provider, the contractor. And again, let's not limit this point to the construction and repair industry. Like I said, this if you're selling something, this applies to you. Put yourself in position with your clients. Your current clients are your best opportunity. Put yourself in a position that they can tell a story of the quality of service that you provided, and proactively let them know, hey, your references are our best source for relationship repeat clients.
Yeah, but what you're talking about now is you have to talk to people. I don't want to talk to people. I want to Google and I want to see, this guy's only got 3.5 stars. Look at all these complaints. Well, who knows who's writing these complaints? I could write a complaint. Nobody would know it was me or my next door neighbor. Who knows? You have to do more research than just see how many stars they're getting on Yelp. That's another problem, because people will write good reviews about themselves. I know people that have done, or companies that do that. We're great. Even though, Ann in Smyrna says we're great. Yeah. Steve in Austell says they're great. Blah blah blah. You can't go by that. It's to me, it's a meaning. Well, we get 4.5 stars. Oh, really? It's like, so what? Which is my new phrase, by the way, for the 2022 is so what?
So what?
I've learned that from reading Facebook posts. It's like, so what? I'd advise you to
there's some wisdom in that.
Because everybody knows everything and they're quick to tell you. And the best thing is just look them in the eye and go, so what?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. So, I like the reference that you made there to the number of reviews on Google. I know for me personally, I can see that on Google. There could be 1,000 5-star reviews. But if I call Dave and I say, Dave, I know you've dealt with these issues at your house. Did you talk to company so-and-so? And you tell me, well, that's the company that caused the problems. I ended up having to get this other company to fix it, and this company gets all my business now.
Yeah.
That's worth more than every one of those.
You got to be careful with that too, though. If say you have something wrong with your tub, call the plumber. Plumber comes in. He thinks he fixes it. He goes away. It still leaks. Call another different plumber. That guy couldn't fix it. Second plumber comes in. Well, this guy did this and it didn't work. And so he fixes it. Looks like it worked. A week later, doesn't work. It still leaks. You call him the third plumber. Well, now the third plumber's got the experience from plumber A and plumber B working for him already. So eventually you run out of options. You know, and the more plumbers you call in and you say, well, this guy did this and this guy did this and this guy did this and none of that worked. And you're like, okay, now I've been to school 4 times on this problem. So eventually you're going to run into a guy who does it and you're going, this is the greatest plumber ever.
Yeah.
Is he? Or is he just the last guy you called that had all the experience from the first 4? And now, you know, what you want in the best world is you call the first guy hoping he fixes it.
Right.
And if he doesn't, you call him back and say, this didn't fix. And the third time you call him back again and he fixes it. And he, you know, eventually he fixes it and he's good about it and they're not charging it and all that. That's the real, the gold nugget that you want. You don't want to keep bouncing around. This leads to you know, you get a relationship with somebody, keep on them because they need you for a client. So don't just start bouncing around when one guy messes up. Because you're just teaching the other guys what you just soon have the best guy do it, right? And if your tub leaks, there could be 5 or 6 different reasons. It's not one reason why. It could be the drain, it could be the spigot, it could be anything. So you need the guy that you trust, and that's why you build these relationships through the years, so you can call him back and say, "Hey, John, I remember when you used to do the insurance thing, and now you're a plumber." See, you're smiling. There's nothing wrong with being a plumber. You'll probably make more money as a plumber than you will with the insurance thing, or more doing this podcast, for crying out loud. Down to Dave Baker for crying. Anyway, but that's what you're referring to, and that's a good thing. Yeah, that's why you want to build the relationship with whoever you're using, big company, small company. You got to go in with that mindset. I want to build a relationship with these people, so they're honest with me, and eventually you get the guy to fix it. That doesn't sound good because you want them to fix it sooner than later. But when you keep bouncing from company to company, you have no idea what they know and what they don't know.
Gotcha. Well,
that makes sense?
Yes. You did kind of throw me off a little bit there, though, because I haven't even thought about Rusty Strawn paying me for the podcast. So that has not...
Really? You're doing this for free?
He conveniently left that part out.
I'll call him. Let me call him right now. Here's Rusty's number, 770.
We need to do that one of these days. We need to just have a surprise call to Rusty on air. That will...
That's what you need. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, I think we'll have some folks
that
will
prank calls.
Tune in for that.
Yeah.
That could be... It could come back around. It's about time for that to come back around.
Sorry
again.
to hear about your husband. You know your insurance lapsed 2 months ago? It'd be nothing for you.
That's a rough one. That's a rough one.
I'm just spitballing here. I'm just spitballing. I don't know the insurance business. It'd be funny though. You started it.
I've been accused of worse. So what about, is there anything new happening with Home Fix It Show? Anything, that folks should know about, or just
with my show in particular?
With your show in particular, or just tune in every Saturday? Or
I'm trying to, after, and this probably alludes to what earlier was trying to keep the show fresh or keep it better. I'm trying to grow the show to expand and include more things other than the plumber, the electrician, the roofer, the plumber, the electrician, the roofer, the plumber.
Right.
I'm trying the show now.
I didn't help you with that today.
No, you were awful. I can't believe you still have the show. Real success.
You get what you
John
pay
Wadsworth. For. The show now, it's kind of includes everything that touches the lot around your house.
Okay.
From, we got invisible fence with kids. Can you put that on your husband at night? Does it work on cats? But you can hear about that because that's, people, dogs got it made now. I mean, if you're a dog in this society today, you can't do wrong, right? Am I right? You ever flip through anything and see dog pictures and you're always like, oh. So, everybody has dogs. And another segment of the population that we kind of ignoring a little bit, as people get older, they need different things done to their houses. You can't walk up the stairs anymore. You can't. You could use a wider bathroom door. You could use a rail here or a rail there. So we're kind of including people forward looking. You want to make your house? Is this your forever house?
Mm-hmm.
Is it ready? Can you get around in it? What if this happens? You need this. So we're just trying to expand the areas of experts on the Home Fix It Show. So if you think you're an expert, shoot me an email. Go to my website. Shoot me an email. Say, hey, Dave, I'm an expert.
Absolutely. And they can find the email at thehomefixitpage.com. It is listed there. I believe there's a nice contact us section of the website.
I saw a sign out in front of your office here. You're hiring.
We are.
Are you looking for any expert? Are you looking for insurance field? Tell me what you look for. It's got to be the same as these service people, right?
Well, you said something really important earlier when you talked about, folks going to a trade school versus a traditional college that, we are pushing. One of the things you mentioned was if they can learn the skill and have decent interpersonal skills, the ability to talk to people, to take care of people, to help people when they have a problem.
You know what that is? That's listening. You have to learn to listen.
That's what we need.
You always see those memes. That's why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you would listen.
Yeah.
But there's a huge, and even in the home services field, listening. You have to listen to what the person has. And the person, like if you listen to people who call my show, they have no idea. Otherwise, they wouldn't be calling my show. They have, right. Dave, my washing machine goes ka-thunk, 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 ka-thunk. I go, what was that noise again? Ka-thunk, ka-thunk, ka-thunk. What's wrong with it? I have no idea. But you have to listen to what they're saying. What are they actually asking me? Do I need a new washing machine is what they're actually asking me. Or what do I do? Is it broken? Or, it's not, why does it go ka-thunk, 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 ka-thunk? But you need to listen to people. And if you're in a service-related field, you need to listen to what your customer's actually saying to you. That's before you make any judgments, before you, I never offer prices on my show. I never say they'll come out and do that work for $400. They need to come out and put their eyes on it, listen to what you think is wrong with it, listen to how you want it to work, and then go from there, because otherwise you're just wasting everybody's time. If you can't get out there and at least have some kind of great instinct or something that what they want, then you're just kind of wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And money, as it turns into. And everybody wants everything for free. So be cheap. That's the other big stumbling block in the home repair industry is I know what's wrong with it. You're going to charge me $400? You should charge me a nickel. That's nobody wants to do anything if it costs money. Right. I think people are scared to invest in their largest investment. So that's a mistake. So
expand on that a little bit.
I hear it all the time. And you can hear it in people's voices. I got drips all over my attic. It runs down the inside of my wall. What's wrong? Well, you need a new roof. Obviously, the rain, when it rains, it's coming in and you need a new roof. Oh, new roof. It's like, what do you think that would cost? Like, shop it around. It doesn't matter what it costs. You need a new one. It's not this company will do it for $10,000. This company will do it for $9,500. This company will do it for $11,000. Doesn't really matter what it costs. You need a new one. So do your shopping, but don't call me back in 6 months and go, oh, my ceiling's kind of falling apart now. Did you get a new roof? No. It's like, you need to pay the money. I think people are a little, hire the people that know how to do it. Hire the professionals. To me, there's very few things, and I get proven wrong on this every now and then, but there's very few things a person can do around their house with some major aspect of their home that would work.
Absolutely.
You're going to crawl up on your roof, John, and replace shingles when they fly away?
No.
Why not? You could do it. You know how to nail and hammer.
Because my legs would shake and I would quake in fear up on that roof.
That's right. Because you're 12 feet up on a big slanted roof and you're scared to death.
Yeah.
Hire somebody who does that for a living. People go up on roofs all the time. They're at least comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to be cheap, and especially when it comes to your biggest investment. You need to spend the money to get it done right. Get warranty, get a guarantee, because they're out there. And the better companies will offer you, warranty or they'll give you a 25-year guarantee and you can pass it along if you move.
Right.
So, do that, spend the money, get it done. You'll feel much better in the long run.
Thanks for sharing that. That's great. And you also said something there that I think just further proves your own point, is you mentioned about the warranties on something like a roof can transfer. And if that's the situation you have, well, do you think that increases the value of your home? Or decreases the value of your home?
Oh, look, I got the best painter came out and put the best paint on it. It's 25-year guarantee, warranty, and I can sell it. So now in 10 years when I move, because people move every 7 to 10 years is what they say, I can sell that. Look, you got another 15 years on this, and this is yours, and look how nice the house still looks. And do that. Spend the money with the right people. You do your research, spend the money, get it done the right way. I don't know why people even mess around with that. I understand they're trying to save money, but this is your biggest investment, and in a housing market that's going crazy.
Yes.
You need to put some money into it unless you have to decide how long you're going to live there. Mm-hmm. You still want to fix things, unless you just want to say, okay, here's a roofing allowance for when I sell, and here's a carpet allowance. And, you could go that way too and whatever. But if you're going to live there 4, 5, 8 years, still get it done right. Get something that get it done right. You have to live there. Don't fix your house for what it's going to sell for. Fix your house for what you want it to live in. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get those kitchen cabinets because when we resell the house, nobody will buy them. Do you like them? Yeah, but nobody will buy them. You're living there. Buy it for you. Don't buy it for somebody who may or may not like it 5 years from now. It's your house. Get it the way you want it and take care of it.
And there you go.
It's just that easy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And don't do the home warranty thing. That thing stinks.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I've got some folks I need to put in touch with you.
Really?
We'll talk about that. You hit on something. So we'll circle back on that one. But Dave, thanks so much for sharing your story with us, sharing some tips with us. I'm sure plenty of our listeners will find that useful.
Just so people know, this was a 5-hour interview. We'll see how far they whittled it down to. So, but it's probably just John talking. They probably cut me out of all the.
If we have 5% of the recording kept, it'll be a miracle. So.
That's on you, Nathan.
So plug to Nathan and Pipeline Social Media for helping us produce the show.
Why don't you give Nathan the shout out here?
We will. Pipeline Social Media helps us edit and produce the show and put the podcast out there, and we'll make sure to be on video.
This ought to be on YouTube.
I don't know if this face is ready for YouTube.
You've seen some of the faces on YouTube? We should be TikToking this thing. We should be YouTubing this thing. Come on, Nathan, get on it, and don't be editing that part out either.
We'll that'll be in the next expansion. We'll see what kind of budget Mr. Strawn gives us.
Yeah, buddy.
So folks, once again, you can go visit the website at thehomefixitpage.com. Tune in Saturday mornings, anywhere from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on AM 750 or FM 95.5. Those are the WSB stations here in Atlanta.
That's not how we professionally call them, though.
Give me a professional radio call.
See, it would be the Home Fix It Show on 95.5 WSB. That's what we go with.
And there it is, folks.
It's also on AM 750, but we don't. That's kind of old school. By the way, and you want to leave this in, this is early February something of 2022. In early March, like the 9th or the 8th or something like that, WSB turns 100 years old.
No kidding.
The third or fourth radio station in the country. Pittsburgh had the first, KDKA, but WSB 100 years old. See? There you go.
An Atlanta staple.
It is. Welcome South, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Dave, thanks so much for joining us today. I can't thank you enough for spending your time with us. We did this recording in the evening. Dave gave up his supper time for us.
Really?
And,
is it that late?
It is that late, and he's very generous to us, so I can't thank you enough for that. And I'll make sure that Rusty does get those peanut M&Ms.
How about the little coolie
delivered.
thing with the lid on it?
I
I got one in my car that says Strawn Insurance on it. Believe it or not, it's a big coolie thing.
Well, those are Rusty can be pretty stingy with those, so
he's
so that's pretty
Very
special.
stingy. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
We've got the Beat Up Rusty podcast today.
He loves it.
He will. So, folks, thank you so much for listening. We'll post this. Please share it once it goes live. We appreciate that. Give us a subscribe, and we'll look forward to announcing our next episode soon as well. Thank you again so much for listening. And
Aren't you having that episode with Dolly Parton when she comes to town?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
There you have it, folks. See you next time. Make it a great day.